different world. No time.
Good, sir.
The only thing is I won't be able to have
All
your
the
tea or coffee
participants,
and all
please
that. So.
switch on your cameras. I think many of them are not habituated.
Unless it's very demotivating to speak only by seeing the screen.
Yes, ma'am. I mean, this is something that actually, I mean, my primary area of work has been e-learning. So last 20 years, we've been doing things. And the beginning at 2000, 2001, when e-learning was just beginning to be there, technology was still not ripe. We started doing video recording and lecturing through camera. It was such an unnerving experience because you switch off this cameras and then suddenly you are lost. I don't know where I was, what I was doing.
Yes.
But I think the world has come a long way since then. I think now even the kids know how to talk on the phone.
Yeah. Yes.
So it's been an interesting time.
Yes, sir.
So I think
Prabhakar, you can start.
Yes.
I think Professor Arun Rai is having some problem with the network. He's getting connected and again getting disconnected. Okay, let me start it formally. So hello everyone. A very good afternoon to all of you and a warm welcome to this session. Happy to see that there are more than 60 participants still there. Since morning we're having already 6 hours of lectures and now it is the continuation of that. So this is a kind of, I can say, has been a new experience. And throughout this last 6 months, to stay connected on online or virtual platforms and continue the learning and teaching journey seamlessly. Let me give an introduction of this session. This is the formal inauguration of Portal FDP on machine learning and applications. While due to pandemic, we are missing the customary lighting of the inaugural lamp and presentation of bouquets personally, nevertheless, we can talk and express our gratitude. Let me take this platform to wish each one of us a safe stay. So this FDP was planned sometimes during the month of March with an idea that this will be conducted on campus. However, subsequently all this lockdown thing happened and later the AICT came up with the guidelines to have it online with minor modifications. So now it is being conducted online in a virtual platform and mostly the sessions will be conducted through Google Meet. This FDP will consist of total 15 sessions, including one session devoted for yoga. That is also a mandatory from the AICT to have a session which is really required in our day-to-day life. So we are having one session on yoga. There are speakers from different premier institutes, and I can name them. First, we have Dr. Sasmita Mitra from the ISI Calcutta. Then we have Professor Suman Mitra from Dhirubhai Ambani Institute of Technology. Then we have Dr. Dipti Prasad Mukherjee, again from ISI Calcutta. We have two speakers from the industry. One is Dr. Sunil Kumar. He is the senior scientist in TCS. Then we have Dr. Amitabh Sinha. He is the vice president of TCS Digital and he's working on big data and data analytics. Then we have Dr. N.B. Puhan from IIT Bhubaneswar and Dr. Preeti Rao from IIT Mumbai. So idea is to discuss and make our participants familiar the significance of machine learning, different approaches of machine learning and different applications of machine learning. There is a very good participation with nearly 145 registrations from across the country. there are few students also. This time AICT also allowed the research scholars and the MTech students for the faculty development program. So considering that there are few students, so all the sessions will be on Google Meet. I hope that these sessions will be interesting and interactive. So looking forward for next 4 days. So formally we're supposed to have it in the morning, but today all the sessions have been conducted by me. From tomorrow onwards, I'll have the guest faculties. And that is why I said that let me have the inauguration in the evening. So that is all from me. Now, let me request our director, sir, Professor Arun Rai, to address the participants and the gathering.
Okay, thank you, madam. Today, actually, we have with us our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Madam, Professor Sasmita Samanta, and also we have with us Dr. Sasi Kumar, Executive Director, CDAC Mumbai, and also our own Dean School of Electronics Engineering, Professor Suprabha Patnaik, who is coordinating with the event and also given lectures in the morning. I welcome all of you to this inaugural session of the Faculty Development Program on Machine Learning and its applications. I hope since morning all of you are attending, all the participants are attending these sessions. All have been tired, but still will not take much time. Within short time, we'll try to wind up the inaugural function. That is why we have kept it in the evening, so that nobody will be fed up with the things. So to start with, this AICT sponsored FDP program, basically as pointed out by Suprabha Madam, that this has planned to be held physically here in our campus, so that all of you could have a glimpse of our campus, our university, what is KIIT and what is happening here at the School of Electronics as well. We are, to give an introduction, we have this KIIT University comprising of 25 schools with around 200 programs running across. And also we have a sister university, that is KISS University. And also we have a big medical college as well. And with this background, but this is happening, this FDP is happening online because of the pandemic situation due to COVID, all of us know. But AICT has given a good platform, noble platform for all of us to come together and continue with the process of teaching and learning, because that is what is integral part of every faculty member, to continuously learn. And that is what all of us know, that is an important part of the student as well as teacher's life cycle. So we are all here to teach and learn from each other so that we can enhance our knowledge and the scope of our teaching abilities to students, and so that students will get benefited out of our enhance or expanded knowledge. Having said so, I'd like to point out the topic that has been selected for today's FDP program, that is machine learning and application, which is very timely and very important topic for the current scenario, because this machine learning is not very new. It is it dates back to 1970s, where it started with basic few algorithms in that basket of machine learning. But then later on, because of the advent of technologies, because the developments happening around, because of the development of technology, this machine learning has got its important place in the current days. All of us know that AI and machine learning is predominantly driving all technologies around. And since few years, we find that since 2017-18 to 2020, this AI and machine learning has become more important because of the data, kind of data we are generating across. All of us know that we are generating a lot of data using in social media as well as in technology. For example, your automotive electronics or automotive vehicle generates 400 times more data that social media generates. All of you might be knowing that. So how to handle such massive data, that is what is very important. So when the massive data is there, there are two kinds of data that we generally face. One is structured data, one is unstructured data. For structured data, okay, we can manage with, but then unstructured data is very difficult to process, to derive intelligence out of it. For example, genomics is an area where we handle with a lot of unstructured data. So when we talk about those kind of data, which is usually called big data, but along with big data analytics, there are data analytics in other areas as well, which requires massive use of this machine learning, anyways processing and other applications, biomedical and all other applications, which has actually pervaded into every sphere of life. This technology, machine learning and AI, has a very pervasive in nature. It has gone into social media, social science as well, in all other economics, every sphere of our life, this machine learning has already gone into. So therefore, every people around has interest in this. And also I find, I was going through the faculty members, those who have joined, I find it is the background of the faculty members are wide, not from only engineering, but from every sphere of life, every sphere of science and technology, or even social science and management. Many faculty members are there from different background because they're interested to learn this machine learning and its applications. And this is what is very, very important in the current time. And if we see that this online platform is helping us to organize this kind of things, because we are thinking after this pandemic maybe everything will stop, but due to all these technologies available, we are able to do all these events. And in KIIT, with the able leadership of our Pro-Vice Chancellor Madam, we are doing our classes, examination, everything online. So we are taking advantages of different technologies. All the examinations we are holding for the first time across the country, and everybody is following us. Everybody is doing later on. So which they are doing now, we have done 2-3 months back, and with the guidance of the leadership, we have done many more things in online platforms. We have continued with our study of the students, the connect with the students, and many things we have done in the recent past with in this pandemic situation even. And this FDP is an example of it. And I thank Professor Patnaik, who is holding this FDP program, or the coordinating with the program. And also I thank all the participants. I thank our Pro-Vice Chancellor Madam, who with a short notice, because she was busy otherwise, so with short notice she has also joined with the event. And also I thank Shashi Kumar and other faculty members who have joined this program. And I hope that these deliberations that will be made during these 5 days on different topics by the experts from different fields of science and technology will be hopefully will be beneficial for all the members who are here. So I thank all of you. So I will request Dr. Shashi Kumar to continue with the address. Thank you.
So let me take the opportunity to introduce our guest today, Dr. M. Shashi Kumar. Dr. M. Shashi Kumar is currently the Executive Director of CDAC Mumbai. He has been with CDAC since 1987 after completing his BTech from IIT Madras. Further, he did MTech from IISc Bangalore and doctorate from BITS Pilani. His areas of interest are artificial intelligence, robotics, and educational technology. He has co-authored 2 books. One is with Prentical and on parallel computing. 7 students have completed their PhD under his guidance, and 3 are in progress. He has initiated and nurtured a number of projects in the areas of artificial intelligence and e-learning during his career. Dr. Shashi Kumar has over 100 publications so far. He is program committee member in a number of international conferences and member of board of studies and advisory board for selected institutions. Now I request our chief guest, Dr. M. Shashi Kumar, to address the gathering.
A very good afternoon, and it's kind of nice to visit KPIT in virtually and see all of you, and from wherever different parts of the country. As the names pop up, I can see that you're spanning the breadth and width of the country. Yeah, so I think as was mentioned in both the introductions, machine learning, deep learning, AI, these are very hot words, obviously, and everybody is talking about it. It's very difficult to find any company who doesn't have AI as one of the areas of work. And I think as was also rightly mentioned, one of the things that I think I should drive home is that AI is not a new topic. And as my intro said, when I did my BTech completed my BTech in 1987, I came to Bombay and joined CDAC Mumbai. At that time, it was called NCST, because I was very excited about artificial intelligence. And that NCST was the only institution in India which was working on AI at that time. So we did a lot of wonderful work at that time, creating a lot of AI applications, resource scheduling, machine translation, even tutoring systems. And remember, the computers at that time, I think if I put about 1,000 of the PCs that I had at that time, it would have less power than what you have it on your mobile phone. We were working with 640 kilobyte of memory and 1.5 megabyte disk for transferring files. So even with that time, there was a lot of ideas that was floating around, a lot of applications we were discussing, but the technology was not ready for it. We didn't have the storage capacity, we didn't have the compute capacity, we didn't have the network capacity. So a lot of it was on a very conceptual proof of concept model. But today the situation has changed. So today we have unimaginably large storage capacity. I think the phones that most of you have in your hand has gigabytes of memory, typically 64, 128, 256 gigabyte of storage, 8 gigabyte of memory, which is like 1 million times than what we had in those days. So AI has now become practically feasible. And that's pretty much the only difference from that time to this time. That was also meant, for example, even deep learning networks were visualized at that time. Okay, but even a single layer network was very hard to train at that time with that kind of computing that is available. So multiple layers was essentially impossible, and people gave up and said, this is not going to work. But today we are able to do that, and we have a whole bunch of algorithms which does that. It is also very important because there are a lot of applications that is coming up. So again, I think sir mentioned about doing exams online. How do you do proctoring? So if your students are sitting at their houses and taking the exam, how do you know that it's the right person who's taking the exam? That he's not referring to a book, or he's not using phone, he's not Googling the answers. All of these are challenges. And AI, particularly image processing based machine learning, deep learning, is actually coming to rescue. There are many companies who are now offering proctoring solutions. Still not perfect, but there is a lot that you can do. You can get a video grab of the person taking the exam, and you know what he has been doing. So at least you have a record, you have information available. And we also talk about, for example, in this COVID situation, how do you do attendance? Because you don't want to do contact. So the presentation that I was, making just before joining you was on using face recognition based attendance system, because your face is a good biometric identity. And we are reaching a position where even with the mask on, we are able to identify who you are. Okay. So all of these, I think, has become possible only because of the compute power and relatively dumb machine learning models like deep learning. So unlike a lot of the machine learning models that we used to try in the olden days, today's machine learning models are really dumb. I'm actually bringing that issue particularly because, again, if you go back a few months during the COVID time, when the in the initial days of COVID, if you are on Facebook or LinkedIn or any of those social media, you will find that there are literally hundreds of posts proposing predictive models for COVID infection, saying that in this many days it will peak, it will do this, it will do that. Everybody was coming up with these predictive models and some graph, which will rise up to some point and all that. So this, and most of those were simply wrong. Okay, if you take 3 days of data, you cannot predict for 10 days or 20 days after that. At the most, from 3 days, you can predict the 4th day, because most of the time in a small time window, your curve will be linear. So the prediction is not very complicated. But nobody actually is able to tell us when will be peak, when will the curve come down. Because that requires a lot more things than just looking at data over the 5 days or 6 days. So what this shows is that there is a tendency to think that machine learning is basically child's play, because every known company, whether it's Facebook, Google, IBM, Microsoft, everyone is releasing their face recognition or deep learning code in public domain. So you will never need to write fresh code for any of these things. There are very good quality library calls available which you can download and use. So software is ready. Data, you may have it through your own sources or you may have it on the net. So you pull the data from somewhere, you pull the code from somewhere, just put them together and miraculously the problem gets solved. And unfortunately, machine learning and deep learning has this very bad characteristic that whatever input you give, you will get an output, right? So because it's a kind of a network weight summation, right? So whatever you give, if you let's say if you want to distinguish between flower A and flower B, and you give a vegetable as an input, it will classify them into one of the two flowers, because it doesn't know anything beyond that. It only says that if the weight, the final weight is above this, it is this. If it is below this, it is this. And obviously the weight has to be either above or below. So these actually are a major worries for people who are trying out machine learning or data science or data analytics and all that, because unless the person doing it has a good grip over the domain, understand what is meaningful, what kind of data is relevant, and can also validate whether the output coming is kind of sanity checked with the input, you can actually create pretty absurd machine learning or data analytics systems. Because the point is that all these algorithms are completely dumb. It has no idea about the domain that you are working with. It just tries to build patterns out of whatever data that you are pumping into the system. And certainly, if you look for a pattern, you can find a pattern anywhere, right? You look outside the window, everything you can find. As children, you would look at the cloud and say, that's a rabbit, that's a tiger, this is that, right? Obviously, the clouds actually don't actually imitate any of this. So patterns are there. And the wrong patterns for the wrong reasons may actually be discovered by your algorithm. So a thorough understanding of the principles, the characteristic, the plus and minus of the different algorithms is very important if you want to make meaningful applications. Building a machine learning application, I think even a third standard student can do it. There is no challenge there. But building something that is meaningful and that is properly validated requires a lot of expertise, which is exactly why FDPs like this, and I see a lot of speaker names that I know them, who are good people in the domain. So listen to them, learn these aspects. As I said, nobody need to teach you how to write a deep learning code. There are plenty of them available. You don't do to data. You possibly have it available from various sources on your own or from from the net. What is missing is an understanding of the field. So how does machine learning actually work? What is the kind of generalization mechanism that's actually behind these algorithms? And what is driving that generalization? That will tell you that, okay, if I put this kind of data, then this is what possibly will happen. And that's not what I want, right? So there are all those classic problems of you walking into an island and you find that the first 5 people are wearing red shirt and say everybody in this island wears the red shirt, right? But if you find that the first 5 people have curly hair, there also you can generalize saying that everybody in this island has curly hair. Now the second generalization is more realistic, likely to be true also, because hair is a characteristic which is possibly location dependent and all that. But the shirt color obviously is not something in that generalizable. But what in the data is telling you that one is valid generalization, the other is not. And that is actually the challenge of machine learning. So I hope that when you go through all these sessions and various algorithms and techniques, keep in mind to at least sanity check what output you are getting against the input and see whether this actually makes sense. Is this interpretable? Okay. And there is also a field of AI called explainable AI, which is like anti-deep learning, because deep learning is not explainable. It just produces an output, and if you ask why, it says that's what the weight can come to. Right? We want the system to tell, why do you think that the student will pass, or why do you think this person has this disease? And that requires a different model of AI, and that's what explainable AI and the old traditional machine learning algorithms actually try to do, building decision trees and things like that. So there are a lot of opportunities. It's a wonderful area. Lot of there's interesting work that can be done, but be cautious. The hype that it may actually provide you, or the initial successes, should not drive you to think it is an easy domain. Okay, so I won't take too much of your time. I heard that you have had a long number of sessions in the morning, so I don't want to put you to sleep. So all the best, and I'm sure you will enjoy the course, and stay safe and keep yourself and your family protected from this guy who is running around the country and the world without any control. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So let me now request our own Pro VC ma'am, Dr. Susmita Samant, to address this gathering.
Thank you, Ma'am Suprabha Patnaik. Our Honorable Chief Guest, Mrs. Sasi Kumar, the Executive Director of CDAC, Mumbai, respected Director of School of Electronics Engineering, Professor Rai, and all the respected participants, the delegates present here. I was very keenly listening to Mr. Sasi Kumar, and also I was thinking, and we all have discussed in several platforms in last couple of months, maybe in last 2 months, that numerology, the numbers and the algorithms are going to be the very important parts of everybody's life. Because if we keenly observe the National Education Policy just released few weeks back, there the only focus is that in education 2 things should be focused. One is language, second is number. And after that, in school level, when those 2 things will be focused, then in graduation level, the students will be giving exposure to the diverse field of knowledge, and they can choose their own courses. That means the artificial intelligence, machine learning, deep learning, whatever we are talking today, maybe as sir is saying that 1/3 class student can identify the application of AI and ML. Maybe now we are thinking that students will be coming to the education system at 3 years, and we find our children at the age of 4 or 5, they're exposed to such type of application. Now the application of technology is not a very rocket science that we all were thinking about just before 10 years or 20 years, while we saw the mobile for the first time, or while we saw the laptops for the first time in our life. And technologies today is driving our life. First, the technology was created to fulfill our requirement, but now we are changing our lifestyle as per the requirement of the technology. As it happens with all the players, while they come to the ground, to protect their foot, to protect their knee, to protect their elbow. The different types of instruments are provided to them. But suddenly we found the players, those who are very good in different field, while they come to the ground and while they use those instruments, some players, they are very uncomfortable initially. And it takes time for them to be accustomed with those instruments, whatever the protective instrument, whatever is being provided to them. In that way, now the technology is driving our life, and we all are trying to tune ourselves with that. And today we are talking about AI, today we are talking about basic learning, maybe tomorrow we'll be talking about something else. As previously we all are talking about coding, we all are talking about programming, we all are talking about different tools we are exposed with. But if you keenly observe the academics, in academics we do three things. One, we have to teach the students in the class. Second, we have to do the research. When we understand the students, while we understand our domain, we have to do the research according to the requirement of the domain. And again, while we do the research, we are being assigned with the responsibility that how that outcome will be integrated with the academics to fulfill the aspiration of the students. And teachers are supposed to go for the outreach program. And in outreach program, we are expected that our research will be applied to fulfill the requirement of the society. That means we have to be very keen about the requirement of three sectors of the people. One is our student, second is the society, third is the domain or the professionals those who are engaged in that field itself. We have to see the aspiration, see the requirement, see the necessity. Then according to the necessity, then we have to make our plan. And when we are talking about AI and ML today, and we are seeing that lots of innovation, lots of applications are coming out, and the experts in this area are supposed to work in that. There we all have to be very sincere, particularly the faculty members, those who are there, that how we'll be fulfilling the requirement of each level of aspiration. And in KIT University, you have all the faculties those who are present here, all the faculties of other institutions also you must have experienced that while we started taking classes online, while we conducted the examination, as Sir said rightly, the proctoring in the examination, we also use some technology related to AI for proctoring in the examination. And while we use the technology, we found lots of differences. If one platform is giving us 30% correction, other one is giving us 60% correct result, another one is 80%. But while we see just like this, we think that all the technology solutions available to us will be giving you the perfect result. But till now, I think lots of efforts are being put in this area, and numbers are always very important, integral part of our life. And algorithms are, I can say that algorithms have played a very nice role for application of technology and also being the integral part of our life for changing the pattern of our life. And when we talk about today, particularly I am a student of leadership and I do lots of work in leadership. And there we talk about the human artificial intelligence. And there we try to understand the behavior, the thought, the pattern of thoughts, how the thoughts are being evolved, the evolution of thought in human being. If today I am using this mobile phone of iPhone 11, maybe after 3 months, what I will aspire for? What type of technology I will be aspiring for? Suppose 10 to 15 technological features are there. And if I have used iPhone 8, iPhone 9, iPhone 10, iPhone 11, then what will be my aspiration? And if I have used iPhone 8 and iPhone 11, after that, what will be my aspiration? There are two different pattern of thoughts. There will be two different patterns of thought when people are using the technology. So in that way, the evolution is happening in the thought process also. But it's very important today that how to bring the critical analysis, get affiliated to the field of knowledge. Get affiliated to the field of knowledge with passion. And rightly Sarah said, understanding the field, that how that field is evolving. And whether in the way the field is evolving, it is matching to my evolution process in the field of knowledge. And if both are going in the right direction, I don't think that it will be very difficult for any teachers or any professionals not to evolve, not to contribute for the fold of knowledge or to go ahead of that. In academic institution in the country, till now we are saying that the academic institutions should match to the industry requirement. But I think that now time is coming, the academic institutions should go much faster. If we little bit bring the critical analytical thinking and empathy to the field of education, and in academic field, we are having I can say that lots of manpower, and it is the source of knowledge. It's the source of knowledge. The academic of this country is having around 30 crores students, starting from the school education up to the higher education. When we talk about innovation, innovation can not only happens in post-graduation or graduation level, whatever your idea previously, we find even in the school children, lots of innovations they are doing in that level. So the cultural changes in the thought process is very much required. You are listening to, I have listened to lots of leadership of this country after this national education policy, but while I have seen they are synthesizing our traditional academic system with the modern academic system and how this national education policy will be bridging that gap, then I very much realized that innovation is happening from a very grassroots level. I was giving an example in one of our meeting in our faculty development program. Once I traveled in flight with one person who was sitting just beside me. And while I was traveling with him, there was lots of turbulence, and I am very much afraid of that turbulence. And I found that I was very much scared, and all the people in that flight, they are maybe 80% people are very much scared. But that person was sleeping nicely. And just while the flight declared that now we have to fly again for 35 minutes because of the strong turbulence in Delhi airport, then that person got up, and I asked him that everybody is scared. How you are sleeping so nicely? That person said that I am from United Nations, UNDP, and I was traveling to Odisha. It's because I am a person who is a photographer of UNDP. I take this, we have seen the photograph of Hudhud and other cyclone of Odisha in television. I have taken all those photographs. So I am habituated of flying in all such odd situations. So I am not scared of such small turbulence. And then he showed me some photographs. One photograph was watering the field, whatever we are doing previously. The Kanda, automatically water comes, then there is a nala, then water goes throughout the field automatically, without any energy, without anything. Then he had taken the photograph of some village women. Those were cleaning the ponds, just pulling one plant at one corner. He told me that those plants are having some pattern, how they are connected with each other. So those women know where to pull. As such, if one plant is pulled from one corner, the whole pond will be cleaned. It's not the artificial intelligence they're using into that, or it is the real intelligence they're using into that. That real intelligence, after studying the behavior, we are making a tool that we are talking as the artificial intelligence when it is being converted to technology. So while he showed me, he said, I will send it to the UN. Then UN will make the patent out of this. Then they will be developing the technology from this knowledge, and they will be giving to us only. That means the knowledge is there everywhere. Only we have to see that how to get connected to that knowledge base and how to get affiliated to that and to evolve with that. So I hope all the faculty members, professionals, those who are present here, I find nowadays, at least after this pandemic, the whole world has understood that people in academics, people in research, they are not that type as they were being counted previously. People in academics are much more dynamic than anywhere else, because after outbreak of this pandemic, education industry is the only industry we started working in online platform much ahead than any industry could do that. Just within 1 week, 2 weeks, most of the academic institutions, today we find even the primary school teachers, they are teaching online. They are evaluating the paper online. They are conducting the examination online. That means that energy is there in academics. In academics, the people are very much receptive. They are very much innovative. They know that how to accept the change and how to get connected to change and how to be the part of that. So I hope that the all the professionals, the experts present here, they'll be gaining a lot from the people like Dr. Sasi Kumar, who is present here now, and other speakers. Madam Suprabha Patnaik, she was reading their names. But I would like to suggest that only being confined to one technology, perhaps it is not the call of the hour. Being experts affiliated for the job, understanding the whole industry, understanding the whole society, now it is the requirement of the time. So all the best for this faculty development program, or to all the participants those who are present here, and thanks to all the delegates for being agreed to deliver their talk in this faculty development program organized by KIIT. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. So now I request Bimal Kumar Srivastav to conclude it. He's also a speaker for this FDP and our own faculty. Yeah, Bimal.
Your mic.
Bimal, you are not audible. Check your connection.
Your audio is not picking up anything.
Ma'am, now is it audible now?
Yeah. Now it is coming.
Sorry,
Yeah.
sorry for that. First of all, I want to thank AICTE for giving us the opportunity to organize such a FDP, which will certainly help all the participants to grow in their own research area. A big thank you to chief guest on this inauguration of this FDP, respected Dr. M. Sasikumar, Executive Director, CDEC, for giving his valuable time and grace this FDP with his presence. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to Dr. M. Sasikumar for sharing his experience and briefing how AI has evolved and the aspects need to be taken care of while working with machine learning and deep learning. We are all inspired by your great words, sir. Thank you very much for your presence. I want to extend my great sense of gratitude to our very own Professor Susmita Samanta ma'am, Pro Vice Chancellor, KT University, for her presence and motivating us about how technology can help the society and what things we need to look for to fulfill the requirement of the society. Along with that, I would like to take this to place our heartily thanks to Professor Achyuta Samanta, founder KIT and KISS, for providing us the opportunity to organize this event. I would like to thank our very own Professor Arun Rai sir, Director, School of Electronics Engineering, KIT, for his presence and inspiring words. I thank him for motivating all of us by highlighting the diverse application of machine learning. And special thanks to Professor Suprabha Patnaik ma'am, Dean, School of Electronics, who is the coordinator of this program, for bringing all of us in this virtual platform together and make us explore the most emerging technology of recent era, that is machine learning and deep learning. Thank you, ma'am. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants for joining us and showing the interest in this FDP. We thank you for being with us in this event. It's been a great pleasure. Once again, I want to state that we are all most grateful to all the speakers on this stage. Thank you all. Thank you once again.
Thank you all of you from my side again.
Thank you, and
Thank you, Dr.
we'll
Sasi
connect
Kumar,
sometime.
thank you, Dr. Sasi Kumar, for coming here. But I would like to request Dr. Arun Rai to continue relationship with you for establishment of one center of excellence in AI and ML, and taking your advice for that.
By the support
Sure,
of CDEC, sir.
By the support of CDEC, yes.
Yes, sir. We are looking forward for it.
We'll be in touch with sir.
That didn't happen when I was in Bombay, but now I'm in Odisha, and Odisha definitely requires the support of CDEC.
Sure.
We'll be in touch with sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for coming.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, sir. So all the participants, thank you all of you. So it was really a long day. So now all of you can log out. So see you tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Welcome.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.